One Saturday afternoon, I was in the yard loading up with heavy grade iron. I used the Bedford for this because its payload was much higher. Pausing for a rest and a sit down, I heard, then saw, a police issue Vauxhall Astra go hurtling by the yard, its sirens blaring. There had been a battered little Renault 5 Mark 1 racing around the common most of the day, but I'd paid it little attention. Carrying on with my work, I almost didn't notice the Renault arrive on the drive, its roof all caved in and windscreen now missing. Pulling up behind it was the police car. Two female officers got out and shouted to me. They explained that the Renault was to be scrapped and could I facilitate that. When the car had rolled over, one of the lads, the son of a local traveller I knew well, had been hurt and broken his arm. The police were going to take him off to the A&E, but didn't want the other two lads trying to race it around while they were away. Alex, the oldest of the group, I had had dealings with in the past. There was no love lost between us, and he soon started to make his feelings felt rather vociferously. He felt I should pay him for the scrap Renault, even though my scrapping it was getting him and the others off of further criminal charges. I explained it was entirely up to him if he left it or took it away, but the police told him it was to stay, or he would be arrested then and there. Grudgingly, he and his pal left in the rear of the patrol car, and I dragged the Renault in and pushed it up into the corner, forgetting about it. Loaded on and en route to the scrapyard with my heavily laden Bedford the Monday after, I was enjoying the drive in. Spring had started to become summer, and I was in no mad rush, the early afternoon countryside drifting by through the open cab window. I glanced in the lorry's mirrors to check on the load, but my attention focused on a car following right up behind the tailboard. Not unusual. The roads meandered like a river, and I was hardly going fast enough to outpace a push bike with all that weight on board. When it began flashing its lights and attempting several foolhardy overtakes on winding sections of the road, I started to take more interest. Had this person got a death wish or something? Maybe owning and driving an early 80s Austin Metro in white had given him a sudden fit of depression. Just after a particularly sharp right-hand bend, the Metro driver took advantage of a short stretch of straight road to come past. Rather than just speeding by as expected, the car drew alongside, its passenger window open. Stretching across a female passenger, shouting abuse, was Alex, the lad who part-owned the Renault 5 from the weekend's incident. Accusations of stealing his car, owing him money, and being in league with the police all poured forth. All this combined with much engine revving and gesticulations, followed by racing off out of sight once another car appeared coming the other way. Fair enough. I was happy just to let him get on with it. However, things took a more sinister turn. When crossing the rise into the village, prior to joining the main road via a mini roundabout, a few yards down the road was Alex's car parked broadside across the carriageway. Driver's door left open, he was striding towards me, shirt off, and with what seemed to be about half a yard of metal pipe being brandished in his right hand. I pulled the truck to a halt. My brain raced. If I got out to fight, it would mean a beating with a piece of metal. I had a claw hammer in the cab myself, but this could end up being a news at 10 job if we went at it with these items. Sit tight and lock the door, but he would just smash the glass on the lorry or drive on, so that's what I chose. Shoving the Bedford down into first gear, my overloaded old truck crawled forward, up into second, but this idiot still stood in the road trying to stare me down. I guess he thought we were playing chicken and I was going to give over, but I wasn't. If he didn't move, I would have just run him over. In my head, there was no way I was stopping now. I pulled onto the wrong side of the road in order to force the Metro out of my way. Alex just stared. Then, with seconds to spare, a sudden realization came over his face as I changed up into third. He dived to his right as we came past, the side of the lorry bunting him over. Next was the white Metro. With all the goings on, old Baldy Farden and his mechanics had emerged from their workshop at the garage located just off the mini roundabout. They were just in time to see the front near side of my ex-Royal Navy lorry demolish the Austin's driver's door right round and flat to his wing. With the sound of graunching metal, the car was propelled across the junction into a wall as the rear near side wheels of the truck tried to climb up over its rear quarter. I kept on driving. I couldn't see Alex getting up in my mirrors, fearing I had killed him. The Bedford and I snorted on towards the city. I resolved to turn myself in at the police station, but only after I had tipped the load, of course. Pulling up on some double yellers, I jumped out and headed straight in through the glass doors of the police station. As I entered, it became clear I had walked right into the middle of a fracas. Two big black guys were fighting in the foyer. Cops were coming out of doors amid the shouting and attempting to restrain these two geezers. I went up to the desk and told the uniformed bloke I thought I might have run someone over with me lorry. But his response of, "We can't piss about with that now. Can't you see we're busy here with these lot? Now, get that bloody lorry moved, it's on double yellows." Fair took me off guard. Not what I was expecting at all. I decided to drive back home, and if there were police at the scene of where I hit the metro, I would have to confess to them instead. As the mini roundabout came into view, my hands sweating rather a lot, I braced myself for a scene of total carnage, but there was nothing there. No cops, no wrecked Austin Metro, nothing. How odd. I knew I had hit Alex with the lorry. I also had pretty much written his car off. So where were they all? With the Bedford empty, forward progress was more rapid on the return journey, and I arrived home not long later. Big John was at my place when I got back. We sat in the kitchen having a bite, with me explaining what had happened, hence why I was a bit of a shaken up. Mother came in from the garden, so I had to reiterate it all to her then. Some time later, Big John was about to head off home, and we were standing by the garden gate when a rattling, thrumming noise, like someone driving a car with four flat tyres, began to get louder and louder. The metal on metal din culminated with Alex and the done-for Metro pulling onto our drive. Still with no shirt on, but now with deep red grazes all down his back and left arm, he began ranting and raving about my trying to run him over. He seemed to have forgotten about his iron bar waving part in all this. Bringing it up had him threatening police action and him getting a well-known in the area traveller to come and fuck me up for good. Despite all this, he didn't actually cross our threshold and left when Mother told him she herself would be reporting him for trespass if he did. It must have been her 80s perm that had taken him fair off balance. I did not hear anything from Alex in years after that, and then out of the blue, he rang me one New Year's Day, asking if I would come straight away and remove a Vauxhall Nova that was on its roof in the Scouts Group's car park, telling me he was in a bit of a jam and all peccadillos from years before were forgotten about. When I arrived at the Scout hut, I found the Nova seeping fluids and Alex in a heated debate with a bloke I presumed was the Scoutmaster. Some drunken yobs had decided after their night out that en route home in the early hours they would upend the old Vauxhall just for shits and giggles like. Alex had been given permission by the Scouts to store the car on their car park for a few weeks till he had stripped its useful parts. Now it was leaking everywhere and the tarmac was strewn with broken glass. The Baden Powlite wanted it gone pronto. I dragged the thing up onto the lorry, then swept up the glass. Hardly a surprise to discover Alex had no money to pay me. Instead, his wife gave me a 20 quid M&S voucher they had been given by someone as a Christmas present. I bought myself a new shirt. I still have it somewhere. He dived to his right as we came past. I've already said that, so I'm not fucking saying it again. Hello there. Thank you for watching my video. If you've enjoyed this one, would like to see a few more, give us a subscribe. Also share a few round. 'Tis appreciated. Means a lot. All the best to you. Take care.